Arcade Perfect, my Arse.
Right, okay guys, welcome to another Arcade Perfect My Arse. Now again, I actually thought I'd already done this game. This is Up and Down. This was released by Sega in 1983, and it obviously had a number of home ports. It's a vertically scrolling game, and I'm just reading this straight from Wikipedia, so it's obviously true. It's a vertically scrolling game that employs a pseudo 3D perspective. You control a dune buggy that resembles a Volkswagen Beetle, and you move along a set path. The idea is to collect flags and also avoid oncoming vehicles, etc, etc. You can jump over them and smash into cars, a bit like is it bumping buggies, I think it's called. And if you get enough speed, you can also leap over and land on a different bit of the track. So anyway, let's take a look at the arcade one. When you get to these little hills, you've got to kind of keep the joystick pushed up the way to try and get up the hill, because if you don't go fast enough, then you'll just come back down, and vice versa. When you're going downhill, you obviously accelerate as well. So there's gravity and physics and everything else built in. You'll see there when you've picked up a flag, it does turn white. So don't, like me, don't keep trying to pick up white flags. I don't know what that thing is there. It's got a wee flag in its back. If I could just catch it, bollocks. Have to say, this is not a game I've ever actually seen. I've never seen the original arcade game. When I say that I've never seen it, I mean I've never actually seen an arcade cabinet, because obviously I'm playing this in MAME. And it's, you know what, it's not a game you ever hear people talking about with any real love. I can't think why, but anyway, we'll come to that shortly. I mean, it's nice graphics, but I don't know, I just find it very, very frustrating. It's actually quite a hard game. I mean, I know most arcade games are challenging, but I just find this game really annoying. Until I'd played that. In fact, I mean, apart from the arcade version, I said playing it in MAME, the only time I'd ever played this game back in the day was the Commodore 64 version. I bought that, I think it was £9.99. Damn. So yeah, there you go. Let's stick my name in. I don't know why I'm putting my name in, because as soon as I put it in, I'm just going to switch this off. Right, first home port is Atari 800. Now I don't know whether this also ran on the Atari 400. The 400 did have less memory, so I'm not quite sure. Right, yeah, I don't know if the colour is messed up. Have I maybe... I know there's an annoying option on Atari 800 emulators where you've got to turn, is it artifacts on or artifacts off? I'm really not too sure, but you know what, I can't really be bothered checking. Right, okay, there we go. I've changed it. I don't know if that's actually made it look any worse or any better. It's got the same irritating little tune. I don't know why video games had tunes like that, because I mean they're such kind of short little loops. They just annoy rather than actually add anything to. Ah, come on, that was unfair. Yeah, this is even more frustrating than the arcade version. I mean, the graphics kind of look alright. Like I said, I don't know whether they would look like this on normal hardware. Not quite sure. The colours do look a wee bit kind of off. They look like negatives actually. Yeah, you can see there that, you know, cars can obviously hit you from behind as well. Yeah, I'm just looking at Wikipedia. To complete a round, the player must collect 10 coloured flags by running over them with a buggy. If the player passes by a flag without picking it up, it will appear again later in the round. The roads features include inclines, descents that affect the buggy's speed, which I've already told you about. Bridges which must be jumped. A player loses a turn whenever the buggy either collides with another vehicle without jumping on it or jumps off the road and into the grass or water. Yeah, I'm really not enjoying this one little bit. Oh, bollocks. It's just... Trust me, if you think I'm bad at this game, give it a go yourself. Come on! Right, anyway, listen, that's enough of that. That is Atari 800. Now, this one, this did not feature in the Wikipedia as being a version, but it is indeed. This is MS-DOS. Now, you'll probably see here it is running at 100 miles an hour. Now, this is obviously using, is it DOSBox, I think they call it? And this is the default speed. I don't know whether you can make it any slower. I don't know how to do that. I mean, graphics, they do look very arcade-like. You can see there's like massive scan lines going on. I don't think it would look like that if you're playing on an actual PC. I mean, it looks alright, but you'll see there, it is just running way too fast to the point it's uncontrollable. I mean, it's a difficult enough game without running too fast. Yeah, see, you've got to... I think this game would be a memory game, because when you come across, we'll give it another go, when you come across a bridge, not a bridge, a hill going up the way, you've then got to, unless you've got enough momentum, you've then got to reverse back to have a run at it, and at that point somebody else will come up and crash into your backside. Now this is the demo, because as you probably saw, I could not play it for toffee. You know, looking at the demo here, it doesn't look like this is doing much better. Yeah. In fact, no, I beg your pardon, that was actually me playing it there, I think. See, when I make these videos, sometimes I record the video game footage and then I'll overlay my comments later on, which I'm doing here, hence the reason I'm kind of forgetting whether this was me playing or whether this indeed was a demo. But yeah, well, it looks nice. Well, it looks nice. It looks better than the Atari one. It is just so damned infuriating. So that's MS-DOS. Right, now this ugly looking title screen, this is the Commodore 64 version. This was indeed the one that I played back in the day. When I say played, I mean I played it a few times probably, because I wasn't a fan of it. The thing I like about this version right away, I was going to say it's easier. It is played at a much more sedate pace. I think because the graphics are smaller, you've got a bit more time to react. You can actually see more of the screen. Well, I think you can, at least. It certainly feels a bit more playable. Graphics probably not quite as detailed as the Atari or PC one, but it's still as infuriating as ever. I want to try and complete at least one level. You could almost say that this was like the precursor to Buggy Boy. Why has that one got eyes? But I know which game I'd rather play, and it's not this one. So at the top there, you can see there, it shows you the flags. When you run over a flag, it will change white. You know, so that can be extra tricky. You can be driving up a hill and then you get a car coming towards you. I always remember at the time when I first got this, I thought it was great because it was like you're driving a real car, and you know, it was one of the sort of first Commodore 64 games that I got. Looking at it now, I can see it's not a good game. But it's based on an arcade game, which personally I don't really like either, so it's not really this version's fault at all. So we're just looking for a blue flag, which is going to be there somewhere. Now you can reverse, like I said, if you drive past somewhere, you can technically reverse, so you need to be very careful. When you look at the graphics, you know, there's a lot going on, but then when you actually play the game itself, oh, there we go. There we are. Yeah, it's actually quite a limited game. You're on a set path. There's very little you can do. Right, I got absolutely no bonus there because I was so shite. And you can see there, it's just more of the same. I think the road looks a wee bit different. Don't even know if there's any additional cars. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, if I'm looking at Wikipedia there, Bump and Jump. That was the game that I was talking about, where you drive along, you get to jump in buggies. So it is kind of a similar game mechanic, but I think I'd prefer to play that one than this. It's just too limited. I don't know what the balloons do. I think they just give you bonus points actually. I don't think you don't get any other features or anything. Yeah, that thing's definitely got eyes. What's interesting, I've noticed, I don't believe there was an apostrophe after the, or a hyphen after the letter P in the arcade version, the arcade title screen. Maybe I'm wrong. You can go back and check and prove me and say, yep, you're wrong. Whereas it should have, and obviously you've got it in this version. I think the other versions had it as well. I don't even know why I mentioned that because it's completely irrelevant to this this video. But anyway, yeah, it did look quite high tech for its time. You need to remember when this came out. It came out, I mean, it was 83 in the arcades, and it was like, oh, 3D graphics. But, yeah. So anyway, that is the Commodore 64 version. Right, this is, I believe, the only... no, I tell a lie, there's actually two home console versions. This is the first one. This is the Adam ColecoVision, to give it its full title. Yeah, this has definitely easily got the best looking graphics. Though the water doesn't have that pseudo 3D look to it, but the actual sprites do look nicer. Scrolling isn't great. I don't know, I've never actually played this. I mean, I do have a ColecoVision, but I don't have this game. I don't think I have this game anyway. I don't know whether the scrolling was like this in the console. I'd imagine it would be, because I think emulators are pretty good nowadays. Yeah, whilst it might have nicer graphics, it's still the same game. That was a bit lucky, I think. It's one thing about making these Arcade Perfect My Arse videos. If it's a game I don't like, by the time I have finished playing the 10th version of the game, I will never want to play it ever again, and I could probably safely say I'm never likely to play this game ever again. I'm talking about the arcade one. Oh, ice cream. Again, I think it just gives you extra points. That's about the most thrilling part of the game, is trying to make these big, huge jumps. Right, one flag to go. I suppose it's similar to Rally X. You've got to collect flags, but again, I know which game I'd rather play, and it's not this one. So anyway, that is the ColecoVision. Let's move on. Right, this monstrosity is indeed the Atari 2600 now. I know. Oh my goodness! Do not adjust your do not adjust your TV sets. Yeah. Where do I start? I mean, I don't know. If you didn't actually know you were playing up and down, if you didn't know this was up and down, would you actually know that this was indeed up and down? I'm not convinced. I mean, there's lots of games that I've seen in the Atari 2600 which, you know, technically should not be possible, and they're actually very, very, very good. But then now and again along comes a version of a game that personally just doesn't work because the graphics are too blocky and it just looks horrible, and this is one of them. Yeah, it just, I'm not going to slag it off because at the end of the day we're talking about a very, very limited piece of hardware. But obviously Atari were keen to get as much money out of the customer as possible, and so of course they would convert every single arcade game they possibly could. Now again, this is running under emulation. You'll see there from time to time some of the sprites vanish, they seem to glitch. It's horrible. It plays like an absolute dog. Yeah, it actually plays worse than it looks. There really is no redeemable feature about this version, I would say. I don't like being critical of the Atari, as I say, it's a very limited piece of hardware, but this is not a good version. I'm convinced that you could have a much, much better version. People go on about Pac-Man as being one of the worst games in the Atari 2600. Sorry, that's actually a good game, at least it's playable. You try and play this for any more than 5 minutes and you would want to go and throw it out a window. It just looks horrible. You wouldn't even know these were cars. It's just, yeah. Right, next death, and I think we'll move on. That's quite enough of that. That is Atari one. Right, this noisy little animal is the Apple II. Yeah, complete with garish graphics, which most Apple II games seem to have, but then we shouldn't slag it too much because at the end of the day it's an old piece of hardware, and I always thought that the Apple II was purely a business machine. I never really realised it was a games machine. I mean, the thing is, these machines must have cost an absolute fortune, and it was only extremely rich people that could afford them. And I just didn't think that people who could afford an Apple II would be wanting to play games in it. But then what do I know? I mean, you know what? For probably one of the first versions for an old machine, it kind of looks alright. Yeah, the definition is there. It's quite arcadey looking. It's quite bright and brash. Yeah, the colours are very limited. The scrolling isn't the best. But you know what? It kind of looks alright. You can tell it's up and down. quite sure about that sound effect, but anyway. Now I notice there's no music, well I use the term music very, very loosely. There is no noise playing in the background in this version. That sound effect belongs firmly in the ZX Spectrum camp. No, it's too twitchy, it's too difficult, and you end up doing what I'm doing, jumping into the ground. So yeah, not a bad version, but a version of a poor game. That's Apple II. So anyway, yeah, to summarise, where do I begin? Yeah, see there's no... there we go, there's a hyphen. It's is that a bomb supposed to be? I don't know what it is. Yeah, let me think. Where do we start? We had the PC DOS one. It kind of looked alright. It played way too quick, limited colours, but it did kind of look like the arcade one. The Atari 800 one was dreadful. Terrible graphics, just blocky looking. The ColecoVision looked not bad. At least you could see what you're doing. The scrolling wasn't the greatest. At least the graphics kind of looked alright. Commodore 64 one, it's quite basic looking. It played a bit slower, which to my mind actually made it more playable. What else? Atari 2600 one, no, not a fan at all. There is no redeeming features for me with that version at all. I think that's it. So this is a tough one. In third place, I'm going to go for the PC DOS version. No, I'm going to go for the Apple II version. Because it was nice and bright, you know, it looked alright, limited colours. But yeah, that's going to take third place, bronze medal. Second place, I think I'm going to go for the ColecoVision. And in first place, I'm going to go for the Commodore 64 version. Now, trust me, you know, if you really, really have a hankering to play a bad pseudo 3D racing game, and it has to be a home version, then go for the Commodore 64 version. If you've got MAME, play it in MAME, but you know what? There are far, far better games out there to play, so really don't waste your time with this game. I'm not a fan of it at all. I'm sure there are fans of the arcade game, but I'm not one of them. So anyway guys, listen, as always, thank you very much for watching.